Imagine finding out that one of your children had a rare genetic condition and may not live past their teens. You have to give up your job, become a full-time carer, and make the most of those precious years together.
Are you taking the skirt?
Jane Hughes is facing exactly that scenario. Her 18-year-old daughter Amy has a rare genetic condition and she's not expected to live much further into adulthood. Life is tough for them both.
It's like living on a knife's edge, to be honest. One day Amy is up and well, and the next day, you know, she's in the depths of despair and health issues come up, and then you're told she's got a brain tumour that's been missed for 3 years, and you just can't believe it, you know, and it's just one thing after the next after the next.
Amy has required full-time care since birth. I want to meet her mum to discover what help, if any, she received.
Jane, tell me about Amy and you. It was obviously your first child, wasn't it?
Yeah, Amy was born in 1991 and born early, about 28 weeks they thought, by caesarean. And when she was born, I remember saying, what have I had? Is it a girl or a boy? And nobody was answering.
What was actually wrong with her?
She just, to them, had an unusual look. To me, she just looked like a tiny baby, which she was. She was only £2.11. Lots and lots and lots of people said, she looks like she's been here before. She looks older than her age.
Amy's unusual look baffled doctors. They had no idea what was wrong with her. All Jane knew was her plans to return to her job in insurance were in tatters.
At what stage in Amy's life did you actually have to give up your career?
When Amy was born, because she'd been so premature, I knew that I wouldn't be able to go back to work.
When you had to give up work, how did you find the benefit system?
Well, when I gave up work, I didn't claim any benefits because I actually didn't realise you could.
With her income slashed financially, she was in dire straits, and it was a difficult time. But then, when Amy was 5, a friend threw Jane a lifeline.
Somebody mentioned to me, does she get disability living allowance? Because, you know, we knew then there was a problem from the geneticist. And so I claimed disability living allowance, and they back paid to birth. And also, later on, I claimed invalid care allowance for myself because I wasn't working and I was classed as her carer.
The benefits went some way to help Jane and Amy get on with their lives. But by her early teens, Amy was still nowhere near to getting a diagnosis. Desperate for answers, Jane took matters into her own hands.
Had you researched what it was?
I'd gone on the internet and spent months and months and months researching, and I'd come across Cockayne syndrome on the internet.
Cockayne syndrome is a rare genetic disorder characterised by short stature and the appearance of premature ageing, symptoms which described Amy to a T.
I'd kept on and on and on to the medical profession. I think this was what it is, and they wouldn't have it that it was that. We eventually, when she was deteriorating so badly that, you know, and wasn't getting any treatment, that we just couldn't live like that any longer, we put a story in our local paper to try and get a doctor in the UK to try and help us, and the article went across to America, and somebody from America got in touch with us and told us of a doctor that specialised in Cockayne syndrome, because I'd mentioned I thought it was that in the article.
Having made contact with Jane, the doctor in Boston had agreed there was a possibility Amy may have this rare syndrome, but the only way to know for sure was to meet in person. So he invited Amy and her mum to attend a Cockayne syndrome conference, but financially, jetting off to the States wasn't an option. But thanks to the article, donations flooded in.
So with the money that the people had given us, we managed to be able to pay for Amy's flight, and that just changed our lives completely.
And it was to prove life-changing from the very moment they arrived at the Boston conference.
There was children in the hotel reception, and Amy just walked past them, straight to a child with Cockayne syndrome, and she put her arms around her and she just looked up at me and she said, "Mum, she looks like me." And the look she gave me when she said it, you know, was just amazing, and you knew then that she did definitely have it. Couldn't wait to see the doctor. I just kept looking around for him to walk in, and as we got up to her, he just turned to me and he said, without a shadow of a doubt, she's got Cockayne syndrome.
Cockayne syndrome is a genetic disease. It affects this process called DNA repair. Cells need to repair their DNA all the time because it's damaged by things such as sunlight and just ordinary function in the body. And losing this ability causes premature aging. Different parts of the patient's body begin to age. These cause problems in many different organs, including the brain, liver, kidney, and the skin. Hearing is affected as well as eyesight.
At last, Jane had the diagnosis, but it came with the knowledge of what this meant for her daughter.
It meant going blind, going deaf, having strokes, losing the ability to walk, talk, short life expectancy.
So they actually age very rapidly.
Yeah, very premature aging, yeah. I mean, Amy's been lucky to get to 18, and lucky in some ways. And in all the, the families I've met now, very lucky. But as the doctors in America said, that the children who live longer suffer longer.
It was an extremely tough pill for Jane to swallow, but the trip to Boston also brought happiness for Amy. While she was there, she found herself a sweetheart, a young man called Nick.
Hold the bag for me.
In the Cockayne world, Amy thinks she's Kate Moss. And Nick was walking along, and these two are, one of a couple who are the same age, and he looked over at Amy, and he had a plate of pizza. He'd just gone to get some lunch, and as he walked past her and spotted her again, he just stood still, and then his pizza started to slide off his plate, so I quickly grabbed the plate, and he sat down and he pulled his sleeve up and he went, really proud, showing his muscles off.
Did he really, the big head?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And it looked as if heart bubbles were popping out of his head, and Amy went all pink and she was giggling and saying, "Mum."
It was love at first sight.
It was.
With a very love-struck daughter, Jane found the strength to turn her attention to helping others affected by the syndrome. And in 2007, she launched a charity, Amy and Friends. And Jane has now become an unofficial ambassador for the condition.
I try and support as many people as I can who have anything to do with Cockayne syndrome, so whether it be the families, brothers and sisters, teachers, even doctors come to me and ask questions.
Having experienced her own financial hardships, Jane is particularly passionate about making sure families get all the benefits they deserve, and she's fully aware that sometimes it's pride that stops people claiming what is rightfully theirs.
An awful lot of families don't want to paint a negative picture of their children, and sadly they're missing out on funding that actually they should receive.
Catherine came across the charity when her 6-year-old son Thomas was diagnosed with the syndrome 3 years ago.
We were very reluctant at first to look at benefits because you feel like you can cope and you feel like you've always coped in the past and that you don't need any help. But actually you do need help because Thomas does need more support in some ways than the average 6-year-old child.
Oi, no chasing me.